Hello everyone, and welcome to Here We Go Gaming. A little bit of a different style content for you today. We're going to do a little bit of a review over the releases from WarhammerFest in terms of the Age of Sigmar side of things. With me today, I have Dan, I have Cam, and
Hello.
I have Daddy Cam, of course, our soon-to-be
Hello.
father. Very awesome, very awesome. And we're just going to
Very
generally
awesome
have a little look over the updated roadmap that is being provided and have a little bit of a discussion on the new sculpts, of course, that have been released. Some pretty new ones, some pretty unique ones as well, I should say, and some pretty diabolical ones. I'm gonna throw out the early opinion, but let's have a little look here. So let's get into the Battle Tome and Supplement roadmap. Gentlemen, we of course know that Seraphon is the next Battle Tome to be dropped, but catching us a little bit out by surprise, I suppose, is the introduction of the Dawnbringer Crusade, the Book 1 Harbingers. What's our thoughts?
Yeah, that's been a bit of a spanner in the works. When we look at the previous ones, it's always been like, right, well, we're getting this many new updates. So when I was looking at this like a month or two ago, I was thinking like, how much are they changing over the next year? It's crazy. So this makes a lot more sense that they're bringing in this Dawnbringers. In regards to what it's going to be, I think we can all just really speculate.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it is absolutely going to be story-driven and narrative-based books based on various factions. Maybe we have a couple of associated models coming out with it. And actually, we've seen a sculpt for this current Dawnbringers, which I am quite a fan of, actually.
A really good
But in regards
to look at, yeah.
it is really nice. But in regards to how it adds into the game, I can't really say. It might go down the route of Path of Glory. It's probably just going to be a lot more narrative.
Yeah, I think it'll be similar to the 40Ks started to do it a lot with what was it started with the Psychic Awakening and then the Arcso Awakening. They do that a lot. I think it's the first time we've seen it in Age of Sigmar, but I think lately they've been spamming the codexes out just to get up to date. But it's it'd be nice to have a bit of a breather.
Yeah, no, it's definitely reading.
Yeah,
I think it is going to be very much narrative driven, which as a lore kind of devourer, maybe not as much as Age of Sigmar, because it seems like the lore's been a little bit lacking on that front. I mean, compared to the vastness that was like Fantasy Old World, which had, of course, like however many years to breathe and fill itself out. You know, that it's always going to be hard to compare. So it's going to be nice for them to start to hopefully flesh out a little bit of kind of what is going on in the mortal realms. Of course, Book 1 does look to be within Nurgle's garden, or at least giving some shout out to Papa Nurgle. Awesome sculpt that I think they've released that we're going to look at just shortly. But Book 2 coming in autumn, Dan, I know you're going to love. It's got a nice big orc face on it, man.
I love me destruction.
Well,
with it, hopefully a lot of models. That'll be good.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Well, we'll talk about models, but yeah, we're definitely getting one, but I don't imagine getting more for orcs. It'd be surprising. I would like more bone splitters ones, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
I think it's following the same trend. When the tomes are coming out last year for the reworks, normally it'd be about one new model with the tome. Like Ogre's got the Blood Cult Hunter. Earlier editions, I wasn't really looking at them because I wasn't following the factions very much. But I think I might be going down that same route. They release a book with one cool new model, and then they save a lot of their resources for a big refresh. So Cities of Sigmar, we've seen 2 units as far as I'm aware of new units.
I imagine there's going to be more as well.
Well, it's like it'll be like slaves. It might go down the same route where later in the year they'll release an early box set where like the Vanguard of slaves where you get the new sculpts.
Yeah.
And then, because they did the same, they released warriors and knights early for slaves, and then they released sort of like the rest when the book came out. So they could do that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like the sculpt so far.
Yeah.
And something to maybe speculate on as well, gents. The new General's Handbook that we are getting seemingly at the end of summer, which is interesting. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like this season has really flew over. It feels like we've barely kind of touched the ground with it, and we're getting that new handbook update. But looking ahead to the Dawnbringers book, okay, are we staying in Gur? Because Book 2, obviously Orc faction. Era of the Beast, we of course have Kragnos waking up and being the big bad in, I think, current lore. So is that kind of us staying in Gur confirmed, maybe?
To be honest, I think I'm getting sick of Gurn, but
Yeah.
I think we're going to be in Gurn until the next, like, Age of Sigmar, like the next core book, probably.
Yeah.
Which is
as far as I'm aware, in lore, I'm not fully up to date with all my Age of Sigmar lore because it's a bit more all over the place from my experience. But the orcs are kind of notorious in the settings for attacking all over and loads of different realms. They attack dwarves. And I don't know if there's going to be lore around them attacking cities of Sigmar because they might naturally, with Cities of Sigmar book coming out and Orc book coming out, normally it seems like a likelihood is that they'll instigate a rivalry between them.
Humans and
so
orcs
whereas
is kind of the classic, isn't it? You know, thinking back to old world. Yeah.
So that might be the one naturally with lots more Cities of Sigmar lore and those orcs playing an antagonistic role in it.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be really cool to see. Like obviously, like you have your Lumineth and your Disciples of Siege, etc. So yeah, I think that'd be cool if they do that.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, skipping slightly ahead, but looking to winter, and Cam, I want to get your thoughts on this. Unconfirmed Battle Tome. So we have no idea what this is, quote unquote, but I think there's decent reason to believe that is going to be Flesh Eater Courts. But moving it all the way back to winter, you know, that's a faction that seems desperately in need of an update to me.
It does. I mean, first things first, obviously, well, not to say it's 100% Flesh Eaters. I don't think it's there yet. I think last year everyone was speculating end of the year, close to the end, Gits would be coming out then. And then there was the third Lumineth book. So we could be
hard.
I was going to say that we could be looking at a fourth Lumineth book. That's always on the cards there. But I think realistically, it's the most likely, or at least the most deserving candidate for it. Obviously, with the new models coming out for Flesh Eaters, that is somewhat suggestive and gives hope. But again, we'll not say anything definitively right now, but I would be optimistic in saying that it will be Flesh Eaters.
And actually, you know, we've got two Chaos players in here. Cam, who is a Slaves to Darkness player, but we also have our other Cam, which is a Blades of Khorne player, which is just recently kind of got that update. Had a little go with them on the tabletop. How did that go for you, Cam? What did you think of the new Blades of Khorne?
It went well, yeah. They act a bit more how I'd like them to act. It's definitely a welcoming update to the old book. 100%, yeah. I didn't get to play quite as much as I wanted with them.
Yeah.
But
I think, unfortunately, Cam was against Caradron Overlords, which managed to get off some pretty naughty shooting pretty early in the game, which did kind of hamstring Khorne a little bit. But it certainly was nice to see them return to a kind of, certainly a little bit more of a thematic, or at least what you would expect them to be in kind of thematic setting. But the reason I mention that is, I don't expect it to be this battle tome that we're speculating about. I don't expect it to be a Chaos book. You know, we've had all of those tomes fairly recently. I can't think about Nurgle from the top of my head. It's escaping me when that book got released.
That was an early one, but to be honest, it's not like the worst book at the minute.
It's not suffering. I think it's you know it. You play Nurgle, Dan. You know where it struggles. It struggles from that lack of mobility, but you know at the current moment in time, Tunnel Master in the season is quite nice. So you know it swings and roundabouts at the minute, but I think we really do need to see where that next battle tome is going to be, to then maybe speculate a little bit more on the upcoming Dawnbringer books as well. I think hopefully we do see Games Workshop really run with that narrative, kind of trying to dictate a little bit more in terms of their releases. I like that in 40k. You know, something from a very, very passenger kind of window in view is looking at the lore updates and those kind of guiding what is then released model wise and content wise. I really enjoy. I hope they do that more with AOS. I don't know about yourselves.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what models they release, because they said they're going to release models for 12 armies.
Yeah,
which is a lot.
It is.
But yeah, so far what they've shown it is good. And on the General's Handbook as well, I'm not quite sure what that's going to be, because we've just came off. What we came off? we've come off
champions.
Glatten champions, and we've had Glatten veterans recently.
Are we getting
God
the
knows where they're
Behemoth?
going to go next.
Are we getting, Dan? Are we
We've
getting...
had monsters.
No, don't break my heart, right?
We've had monsters already.
Just want my sons to feel good again, Dan. Okay?
They are good. They are good. You just want them to feel more good.
I love Bunga stuff, man. It's too good. It's too good. But I think, you know, it's...
If I were betting, man, for whatever the next season's going to be, I reckon there'll be hints in the new Seraphon book, because prior to this edition, when the Slaves to Darkness book was released, there's a couple of Slaves to Darkness abilities that mirror what's in the handbook, such as the Chaos Lord having a retinue and being able to strike with your Lord and then strike with your retinue. Whereas it's kind of similar to your Galatian Champion Swarm Bodyguard sort of mechanic. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something in there that'll give hints to this next handbook. So we'll wait and see about that.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time to be an AOS player. It really is. You know, I think we're starting to see the lore being fleshed out a little bit more, especially with the introduction of these Harbringer books. It's really exciting. Seraphon's getting an update. I'm a player of that. I love it. It's exciting times, man. Cities of Sigmar, dude. Let's get hype. Let's get hype. Like, the new models, if it's anything compared to, like, the sculpt that we're going to see just shortly, and I think we'll get onto the sculpts just now, it has me really, really excited, and probably going to spend a lot of money. But, onto the sculpts.
I'm waiting for a Steam tank. Bring me the Steam tank.
Man. Let's have a look. So we have the first sculpt, the Harbringer of Decay, and one of the things that the gents were just discussing, actually, Dan, the first hero on Nurgle, or part of Nurgle, to be on a horse. Am I correct?
Yes and no, because it is the only model that they've released for this that is an actual update for a model, not a new one. So this model already exists, but they're updating it. But I imagine it'll get a fleshing of rules to go with its nice new model, because the old one didn't have 2 weapons, and this one's got 2 different weapon choices. Yeah, which is interesting. But the model is absolutely fantastic.
I love it. The sculpt is beautiful. So that sort of like, obviously, like Plague Knight feel. It does have a really nice vibe to it. Everything about it, even just the boils and stuff on the horse, it's a really good job.
Yeah. And clearly the artist that they got to do this paint job is absolutely knocked it out the park, you know. And it like you've just said, it's the minor things within a sculpt for me, Cam, you know, and it's the little things of even like the little raven on the shield that's just sat there looking very menacing. Looks incredible to me, you know, and the basing job on that is exceptional. So if that's kind of I don't suppose we can kind of say that is going to be the base that we get with it, but if it is, I love it. Yeah, I love it, you know.
I like it how it's got the sign, because the old one had a sign and it was so old it was like going to Kislev, and now the new one actually has a sign going somewhere else, which is nice. And it's also nice not seeing a bloated model. I love bloated Nurgle, but like it's nice to see variation.
It is. Variation is the spice of life, isn't it? Especially in wargaming. When we're very constrained within factions already, and a very thematic one like Nurgle, you know, where generally, like you say, everything's bloody bloated. It's nice when you get a appropriately proportioned hero every now and again. You know, and one thing I do want to really mention is that weapon is just incredible. The kind of scythe bell hybrid, like you're gonna cull somebody and twonk them on the head with a bell at the same time. Like, that's incredible to me. I love that.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what the rules will be on that. I wonder if it's going to be like any of the demon bells where they get contagion points. Because a lot of the bells in Nurgle do just seem to give you contagion points. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it does.
Doesn't look like it's going to be a bad model for conversions either. I'll probably pick one up just to turn into a Soul Blight or different kind of Chaos Lord or something.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I saw, and Cam is definitely our kit basher amongst the group, you know, is capable of some really awesome kit bashers that I'm looking forward to show off a little sneak preview. His Khorne model, his Khorne Demon Prince is just, oh my word. I've seen a few kind of early comments saying that this is going to get turned into an awesome looking Demon Prince of Nurgle potentially. So
yeah, 100%.
I'm really looking forward to what the kit bashers amongst the community can kind of do when they get their hands on this model. Really, really interesting sculpt. Really interesting sculpt. Any other thoughts, gents? Any other thoughts on this model?
No, I think it's fantastic. Hopefully, there's more that comes out with it. I would love to see a full unit of Nurgle Knights on horses to go alongside it. I think it'd be a bit stark having one horse model in the entire army. So
Could you not
stretching it there, like
consolidate some Varangard in it or ally them in?
Yeah, thematically to make it work.
You can take this as so how these are working. You can use them as regular renown, so you could take it in a slave's army. But
oh, sick!
I would quite like to see Blight Knights on a horse. That would be quite cool.
Yes,
thing I'd like.
Yes, yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Dan, as our resident greenskin lover, give me your first thoughts when you see that Maw-Grunta.
I went, God damn it, why did I go Bone Slayers? Because I ideally went the pig list with more crushers, and I was like, you know what, I'll go fucking Bone Splitters, it'll be fun, be more me. And then they bring out this model, and I'm like, amazing. I need loads of them. A thing to point out about it is that it's a multi-kit, this one. So there's going to be a hero version and then a monster version. So it's nice to see a kit come out and it's not just a hero, it's actually like a unit as well. Which,
to be honest, you options.
Yeah, I would like Games to do that more. Like, not every book do a hero, maybe just a book with a unit, because a lot of armies have a lot of heroes. Yeah. It's like, we need more units.
Absolutely. And again, commenting on the sculpt side of things, really, really good job. Really, really good job. The little details from the kind of saliva in the mouth and dripping out on its mouth, awesome details. And I love that platform. That little platform is brilliant.
I've seen people hating on it, but I really like the two orcs off the side. I think it just feels like very orky and just stupid. Yeah. Whether it's like, I'm going to stand on the side of a big stick.
It's not meant to make sense.
If you don't like it, not the hardest thing to leave off during assembly.
You could easily leave that off.
Absolutely.
If you just wanted the look of an orc on a giant pig.
Yep.
Just say that. I would say the tusks themselves could do the damage that those orcs are doing, but it's...
Absolutely. It's peak orc. It's not meant to make sense. It's just meant to be orc.
There's a version as well with a big metal helmet on that looks absolutely fabulous.
Yeah,
I've seen on there.
Again, a kit basher's paradise, and I think it's just going to be exciting to see what people can kind of update their current armies with, taking into account these new 40K. Yeah, absolutely. That's going to find its way onto 40K tabletops somehow, some way. It has to. Like, it's too good not to, really, isn't it? Cam, what do you think about this sculpt, my friend?
It's really, really nice. I get why people dislike the guy on the side. I feel like the only difference is just realistically, instead of having both hands in his weapon, he should just be grabbing onto something. Maybe I think that would come and bring it all into one more cohesive piece, where right now it seems just as if they put a platform and just are they chained?
So there's a different angle online. I'm sure they've got a little chain on the back attaching them to the back of the bow. So it kind of makes it look a bit better, but I could be wrong. I'm sure they are.
If they're not, I thought they should be chained, but yeah.
Again, you get some jewelry chain just wrapped around the waist.
Yeah, you can, but then you're converting off your own. Realistically, if it's a new kit, you'd want it to kind of look really cohesive from the get-go. And I think that might just be a personal taste. Some people like it. That little platform, I think I'm more towards the people who dislike it, because I do think it looks just a little bit silly. But with a small amount of sculpting changes, I think it would look fantastic.
It might even be as simple as swapping the two guys around, really. You've got the gent that's got the two kind of one-handed weapons there. I kind of, now you've said it, Cam, I'm leaning more towards what you've just said, of thematically, or at least making the sculpt look a little bit more cohesive. Having him gripping onto the side of that platform for dear life, as you would expect. It's not going to be an easy ride on one of them things, I would assume. And maybe just having a one-hand weapon reaching out, maybe a little bit more of an action pose, trying to cleave someone's head off might have been a little bit more cool. And then making a bit more sense having the two-hand up top.
I feel that would have been the option, actually. The pose is pretty much there for the guy up there.
Yeah,
I think that would be a lot better. But for the rest of it, the ball looks incredible. Like, that looks sick. I keep being drawn to the face. I think it's a lot of work from the actual painter from Games Workshop, because that looks fantastic. It's so eye-catching. But the entire model looks tremendous.
I mean,
you
look at the blend job on the tusks and the highlighting on the gum, and that is just, an incredible job by the artist there. Again, whoever they're giving these models to. Absolutely. It's just yellow things, man. They do something to my body. Like, that sculpt and that paint job just hits everything to me that an orc should be. It just, you look at it and you think, yep, it's orcs. It's orcs. What else could it be? Orcs?
I'd be interested to see how it plays on the field as well, because I'm hoping it's more different than a Maw Crusher, because they already have like a big unit that runs in and hits and like gives commands to units. So it'll be interesting what it does. I imagine it giving a lot of buffs to pigs and stuff, maybe like helping them charge. But I can't wait to see full pig lists, man.
Yeah,
full pig.
Absolutely. Now, gents, I'm just gonna have to dwell on this for a moment, because those are bloody banging. If that doesn't make it, mainly I'm looking at the gentleman on the right. That guy on the right with that gate on his head for some reason. I don't know why I love it, but I absolutely bloody love it. It's just, if this is what Cities of Sigmar are going to be coming through, I'm so down with it. I will drop Games Workshop, just take my wallet, I'll bend over, I'll do whatever you want. Just give me the models, because it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And having looked online at Games Workshop's individual community post and looking at the slightly more detail, and I encourage you to do so, because this image does not do them justice. Have a look at the individual shot sculpts. Beautiful detail. Absolute field day for any painter to kind of take it and run with it. I love these sculpts. Absolutely adore them.
I'll be getting a few of them. I want to create some Black Knights with them. I want to make some Blood Knights, vampires on the top of them. Really nice.
That's it. Again, conversions. Yeah.
I think it's one of the nicer things. It's the first real step to bring Cities of Sigmar into the Age of Sigmar setting on their own. Naturally, a lot of models have just been taken from the old world. So if you were a keen fantasy player using it and kind of just wanted to get fully invested in a new system, that's always a little bit of a leap for you, because you're not really fully sucked into the new world that they're trying to create. You're still stuck in the old. So it's nice that this is a first definitive step for its own range of City of Sigmar, with obviously the other guys as well. I like the helmets. I'm personally not as keen as the stuff on the head, but I was reading that it was a particular design choice. Sort of have those sort of like iconic things on top of the helmets. But they're certainly not for me, in my opinion. But I do love the rest of it. The horse on the very far left, I particularly am fond of. I really, really like that model. Everything about it. I'm keen on the helmet. The helmet-less guys, they seem a little bit skinny for my liking. But hopefully, in the kit, there's the option to actually like have the helmet, so it sort of bulks them out. Yeah. Because I think when I'm looking there, I'm really enjoying the look of the really heavy knight feel. The central guy being the leader is very iconic, has a really striking pose, but I do feel like he's sort of overshadowed by the other guys. Like the one on the far left and the far right just seem a lot more dynamic and a lot more interesting when I'm looking at it. But overall, I mean, I'm saying a lot of negative things. I absolutely do love this set as well. I'm absolutely happy as it is, really.
It's really nice seeing the human faction come like into Age of Sigmar, because like we get to see the more high fantasy versions of them, which is nice, and they're getting like a lot more just fleshed out, which is nice. I like how they're trying to like, they're all from different areas, they were saying online and stuff like that. So like there's different aspects on each model, And to be honest, I like the helmets myself. I'm a Dark Souls player. I like crazy helmets.
Yeah, I do like, compared to the old one, that the models all look quite a bit busier. So instead of going for regiment, I think they're going for a standalone, each is visually striking, and I think they've done it fantastic here. It was the same with the sneak peek of the infantry they released, was it a couple of months ago?
Yeah, it was
they very, very nice.
I like my
well.
heraldry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
that's absolutely like,
you gents have absolutely hit the nail on the head. This is the step that Games Workshop needed to take to bring humans into the Age of Sigmar. It was totally reliant on you making the choice to include human faces within your Stormcast army, to really have any humans that were new enough within Age of Sigmar. So it's awesome to see these sculpts updated. I totally agree with you, Cam, in terms of the banner bearer. The more I look at it, being a little bit too, proportion wise, it just doesn't quite seem to fit, maybe. But aside, it might just be this image and this angle. You never know.
Angle,
I think it might just well be that. But if, like I say, I think overall we can all agree, if this is the direction that GW are taking in terms of Cities of Sigmar, we are all aboard, absolutely all aboard. And Dan, absolutely right. GW, give us a steam train. Give us it. Yeah. Give us the steam train. We want it. We'll give you the money. Okay? Yep.
Well, on off track as a tiny bit, but on Warhammer Plus, there's an animation with a steam tank with spider legs, and I'm like, oh my god, give me that as a model. Give me that as a model.
Kit bashers are just waiting and like, I'll do it. You're gonna.
I've got a venom crawler if you want it.
Yeah. You're gonna see some weird despoilers in 40k with like weird steam tanks coming through, mate. That's what we're gonna see. That's what we're gonna see. I'm sorry, gents. It's been an awfully upbeat video so far, but I'm gonna put a little bit of a poopy pants face on. I'm really disappointed in Games Workshop with this sculpt, and just generally Fire Slayers as a whole. I love Gotrek and Felix. The idea of Gotrek as a character and that Slayer mentality is just brilliant within Dwarves, and it was brilliant because it stood differently and it stood alone to some degree. And it very much now feels like GW have taken one model or one theme, Gotrek, decided almost off the cuff to decide, we'll just make a race about it. What are we going to do? Just some ginger dwarfs, mate. It'll be sound. And we'll just, there you go. Fine. They had an opportunity here to try and change that mentality or that line of thinking. And all they've done, or at least in my eyes, is solidify they don't care about Fire Slayers.
It's weird. I think it now. I see where you're coming from. And when I do look at a Fire Slayers army, for the vast majority of it, they are very same across the entire army. Like, you look at it, there's not really any visually distinctive stuff among them. It's just a bunch of naked ginger guys. Like, obviously, like, they paint it quite well. They're giving them dynamic poses, but they just don't pop out enough from each other, and it just becomes a bit of a blur compared to, say, obviously we just saw the previous Freeguild Cavaliers that came out, where naturally, obviously, they'll be standing out quite a lot to the rest of the army based on, like, obviously, like, weapon choices and armor and stuff like that. And whereas Fire Slayers have various weapons across the army, it's not definitively enough to make them pop out from each other, mainly because of the usual colours you'll pick to paint them. You can't really get any more vibrance into the army other than the orange, and so obviously you can paint they can paint the large amounts, sort of various different colours to give a lot of variety across it. But I just find the bog standard Fire Slayers, if you paint as they are, and then they come out like that, they just look very generic and the same.
I'm surprised they chose to give them another hero, because I swear I haven't seen them on the tabletop, but I swear they've got loads of heroes. They need more units.
Just because you can't tell
they have
who the heroes are, you're like, oh god, there's loads of them.
So just
it's all troop.
Piggyback on
all heroes.
One of our subscribers.
This last guy is a wizard.
Yeah. So Fire Slayers actually have 2 units. And one of our subscribers had made a really, really apt comment of it really does feel like you could put a load of Fire Slayers on the board, right? And we could play a game and you could just point at something and be like, that's this. And I would just have to go, okay, sure, that's fine. I have no idea really what's what. Because like you say, Cam, you are totally reliant on the sculpt, like the dynamicness of the sculpt. So that's a butchering of words. But in this one, for example, we have the fella on the rock. That's the way I would remember it. It's a fella on a rock. That's the only way I'm going to remember it. Aside
I'd
from
model them all on rocks.
Just to
throw people off further.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just it's so underwhelming, man. Like it
looks like the person who's done that picture has put them all on rocks.
It's just underwhelming again for me. And I really, really was excited for Fire Slayers when I was getting into this again. You know, when you fellas were saying to me, Tom, get back into the hobby, it's great now. Fire Slayers was one of the ones I was looking, because you said Berserker Slayer or Berserker Slayer Dwarves. Hell yes, my friend. Go Trek all over the shop. I love to see what they've done with that. But they butchered my boy. They've butchered my boy. And
they have cloned him.
Yeah, it's just disappointing. It really is. And I hate to rag on it so hard, but and I know it's not going to change anything, but that's just my sentiment with it. I don't want to spend money on models that all look the same. That's where I'm just going to go, you know what it is? Sod it. I'll look on Cults. I'll look on Mini Factory and just see what I can get that looks at least a bit different. So it's just disappointing for me. But anyway, Poopy Pants time over. I'm going to swiftly move us on because Negative Tom needs no more. That thing is beautiful, Dan. That thing is beautiful.
More cash out of my wallet. These editions, it was just like every army I do is like have a mini model. I was like, okay, why not? It's an absolutely beautiful model. The only one thing I'm going to say that's before I talk about how beautiful the model is, I'm so annoyed about the kit that comes in because I spent ages trying to get Gloom's Gobapalooza. Sold out. I buy it and they're like, oh, to get this awesome model, you buy a box of Gobapalooza, and I'm like, oh my god. Because now I'm gonna end up with two of them if I want this model, which I do. It's such a beautiful model though. I love the little bat squigs coming back into it.
It's awesome.
I want to see more of them. The heads, the skulls from Gobapalooza, but like I'm okay with it coming back on a different unit. It looks mint. Let's see more of it. Yeah, he just looks like a mint goblin. He looks eager, ready to fuck shit up.
He's cunning and brutal, that goblin. That one is, you know, it. And like you've hit on my personal favorite part of that model, which is definitely like the squig bat things. They are just an awesome little detail that I want to see GW putting more in. One thing that I managed to actually skip over on the going back a little bit to the Cities of Sigmar Knights, one of the angles actually has a little, and I encourage people to find this on Reddit, a little pair of legs in a snail shell. I love those little like gribbly bits on a model. It just looks awesome to me, and the inclusion of these squig bats, is what I'm going to call them, is awesome. It just adds more depth to what we can get in that model for those great painters. I am not a great painter, but I really enjoy looking at what people can create with these awesome and dynamic sculpts.
I'm scared about painting this colour under that skill.
I think it's definitely going to be a paint and then assemble job. I think it's definitely a one of those angles. I think maybe the only slight criticism that I would have given it is maybe a bit more of a special weapon rather than just like the sickle and the club.
It's a goblin. Even look at our weapons. We all have shit weapons.
Yeah, there's enough going on there. Obviously, the bat squigs are fantastic. And I love it because they've always been around in the lore and stuff like that, and actually showing up on a model right now, which is great. It just brings them into the world a bit more. I mean, I love the look of it, but on the flip side, man, the Games Workshop are getting really brave with their sculpts because they are hanging on by a thread to each other.
I know
there was one in Underworlds, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yes, Underworlds had a bat squig in the Troll team, I think.
Yeah, in season 1.
Yeah, season 1, back in the day.
Here they are, more coming in. But to be fair, I can't really critique that. That's absolutely beautiful, that model. I would love to see it on the board.
I do wonder what the rules are going to be like, because in the stream they talked about rallying up troops, so it sounded like a buffing unit, and we're like, and then it comes in a box with loads of squigs, regiment announced, so that means that unit has to work, that hero has to work with those units in a different army. So if he's going to buff squigs, I'm all down for it, but that's like, we've got so many buffs for squigs, like squig bosses buffing them, and then if you add another hero that buffs them, people are just going to be like, what?
Exactly.
But as a squig herd player, I'm like, oh, give me another buff for my squigs, man. Come on.
Yes.
Make them fly or something.
No more. No. You don't need more madness from you.
Oh, imagine there's flying squigs on it. Maybe that's the reason. Oh, that would be amazing.
Okay.
Don't most of your squigs fly anyway?
Squig herds don't, and they're my babes. But the rest of them do.
The new Flesh Eater. And this is one that I don't know where I stand on it, to be totally honest with you. I've never been a massive fan of death armies, so I'm kind of neither here nor there with it. So I'm probably going to rely on you gents a little bit more. Love the sculpt, love the weapon, real big fan of big scythes. Not sure about the things dangling off it, but I think that's generally about as far as I want to take it. You know, I'm a bit indifferent to it. What do you fellas think?
Well, Cam's our death player.
That is true.
Love it.
Love it. There you go. See,
fantastic.
I am blown out the water.
I like dangly accessories on models.
So what's it?
I really like it.
I feel like I too would tie antlers and various bones to my bone.
Scythe, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Is it a bone or is it a giant antler?
I think it looks like a stick to me that he's tied bones to.
Is it?
But
it could be an antler. You could be.
See, I'm
like
getting antler from it because he's already got an antler tied to it.
Yeah, I see what you mean, mate. I think you're not. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not. I'm gonna go with yeah. You're right. It's an antler. I'm with you. I'm with you. What do you like about the sculpt, Cam?
I'm a big fan of it. Sorry, I didn't know what you're talking about, but I'll just say I like how strikingly different it is to the rest of the hero range in them.
Yeah.
A lot of Flesh Eaters have been quite, again, falls into that category of samey, where they don't look too different from the ghouls themselves to their poses and sort of like little additions to them, whereas that is iconically a different model in the range, which is a fantastic direction to move into.
Yeah, it looks really good. I like seeing more ghouls not naked and with like flesh over the skin or like bone helmets or stuff like that.
That'd be sick.
It is nice. But yeah, he's just a really interesting model. I like to see more ghouls. Like
I'm running that as a necromancer.
That'd be cool.
Yes.
Add a little wizard hat to him.
Oh no! I have to add the wizard hat now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will hold him to that. I'll get you the photo. Wizard hat on him, made from green stuff.
You'll have to 3D print it.
I'll do it. I'll find it. I'll find the Mickey Mouse one. I've already threatened to do it for one of Cam's, so I'll do it for you as well. Don't worry. I think it's like you said. You maybe swung me a little bit more. I'm with you on the more ghouls not just wearing a loincloth angle. Totally agree with that. Like, skin tones are cool until you're painting an entire army of skin tones, which kind of lends me back to Fire Slayers a little bit. But yeah, I think it's a nice look, and like you said, Cam, or both of you really, it's a different vibe than the current death characters that are out there, especially Flesh Eater side.
What I really think as well is that it opens a bit of a window. Naturally, they've got a lot more of the little details, as we said. Some people loved, some people disliked. But it really plays into the sort of like deluded heraldry that's iconic to their lore and that draws people to them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at current Flesh Eater's army, sort of like Paul's, naturally, it's better than Fire Slayers, where you have different units that are easily distinguishable by their size or like the wings when you see the difference between sort of your Crypt Horrors and Crypt Flayers. But then this opens up windows to sort of having different degrees of sort of like eliteness of foot troops. So naturally you have your fodder kind of ghouls, but you can incorporate maybe slightly more elite ones, which are somewhat clothed in skin to sort of fit in with the deluded horror and give you a visually different foot unit that wouldn't just blend into the hordes and you fall into the Fire Slayer pit where you'd have to like point at a unit and be, this is definitively this one. They don't really look different from like 2 feet away when you're looking at them.
Yes.
It really, really, really adds up. This guy also, and I might be wrong, he appears to be taller and skinnier. He's got a bit better posture, whereas the rest of them tend to like sort of be incredibly. So I feel like that might be. I don't know if it's just.
Well, he still doesn't look like great posture. I wouldn't aim for that posture.
Obviously, they're still trying to capture like the sort of like horror who doesn't give a care about anything in the world, skulking around. Obviously, he's got all these additions that I am kind of fond of looking at. But normally, when it comes to painting, I tend to get a little bit more annoyed at them. It's like, God damn it, I've got so much more to do.
Yeah.
But it's lovely, and I'm really more excited about the potential angles it opens up for new miniatures in regards to what they're willing to try to make the range definitively different and incorporate new and interesting units to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to see more flesh eaters, man.
Yeah.
Well, you asked, and you received, Dan. And this is actually our end slide, so I just want to dwell on these a little bit, because having just kind of ragged on death a little bit in the previous slide, I'm now going to be a two-faced commentator and go, I absolutely love these. Like, this just ticks everything that I love to see. Those kind of weird dog ghoul, those baboon dogs. Those baboon dogs look awesome. And the hero, the quote-unquote hero or leader that this is, that just looks awesome with the little, like, harpoon gun and the stance with, like, kind of he's flicked his cloak back. Absolutely adore that sculpt and that posing. Really awesome. Really awesome.
It's not even the right job. It's fully embedded into his hand. He's just flat out missing a hand, which is really, really cool. I do like models that go down that route, like with the ogres and sort of goblins and orcs that tend to do that. The dogs are really, really cool. It's a different unit for the actual range, which is good. The ghouls, as a standalone, they look nice, but I mean, for example, if you wanted to incorporate these into your army, like you do with most warbands, they sort of have a way to play in Age of Sigmar. I would not be able to tell those apart from the rest of the ghouls, and I think that's just the fight you fall into with skin tone models.
There's some with bones on as well, so there's extra ones with like bone skulls that really help them drive them away from the other ones.
That is a fantastic thing, But
like
the Lord, like the Lord's incredible. It's iconic. It's got a lot. It's those little bits and bobs, like obviously.
I really like the hounds.
Like all of it looks fantastic from the actual new Lord, and I think they've got to go down that route of giving that sort of grotesque embellishment to them to really make them stand out from where we're going forward.
Yeah. I really... Go ahead, Cam. Sorry, go ahead.
If you look at the hounds, the lore in them as well is like the ghouls who just think they're fucking dogs and have just started to go dog shaped.
I love like death lore. It's so class. Like it is awesome. And like I really like the bones that are embedded kind of as armor features on the models. Like you were saying just on the sculpt previous, Cam, that grotesque vibe that they're trying to achieve totally conveyed in these sculpts for me. Maybe not so much in the ghouls, like you say, on those particular ones. Stick some skull kind of helmets on. Yeah, looks awesome. Differentiates them from the crowd. Absolutely what we need. Yeah. Closing thoughts, gents. Closing thoughts.
It'll be interesting to see how they play as well, because I think this is the first Warcry team that isn't Chaos. So it's nice to see other units. Like all the Chaos ones seem to be quite good in the game. Like the
Seraphon.
Oh, Seraphon being on there.
Yeah, they've had the chameleon skinks, didn't they?
Yes, they did. That's a good point.
Well, I've just told a lie. Did they see any play in matched? I don't think they did they?
I don't know. Tom, you play Seraphon?
I'd need to get them, to be totally honest with you. I was with Dan on that one. Didn't really even realise that they were there. I just
I'm sure they were fighting Zeech, weren't they? There was Zeech.
Yes.
Jade cultists or something, and like one of them had like a heart in the hand or something. It looked sick.
I remember.
That's right.
I remember.
That's right. Yes. No, now you mention it, those sculpts ring a bell.
It will be interesting to see if they see playing Ghoul's armies though, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Any closing thoughts, fellas? Any closing thoughts?
The only other thing I would say, not to cut everyone else off, is that I'm not a big fan of fucking the 4 heroes coming out in these massive boxes with loads of models, because I just want single models, and then you're like, you got to buy Regiment Renowned. But I don't know if people are actually hyped about that, like, because I don't imagine people running Regiment Renowned when they're that big in an army.
Yeah, no, I get it. But people exist in armies, you've got your whole army there, you just want the one hero. Like, stop fucking around. Just give us the individual release.
Yeah, because I would buy.
They do that all the time.
Whether they maybe down the line offer that as an individual kind of, because they've done that with Kronspine. You know, they now offer him as an individual model. Whether they do that down the line, but it's again, not to rag on GW too much, because I love you, GW. Maybe a little bit of a money grab for them. Stick them in the boxes. Make people pay firstly. You know, yes, you're going to have to get those Regiment of Renowns, or 6 months' time, the heroes are now individually available. Who knows? It could just genuinely stay that way. You know, we don't know. But I think you've hit a good point there, Dan. You know, we should have the option to kind of maybe choose between those, because for the most part, those regiments are too big for most people to fit in those armies, or they're just not going to see the table play that they don't fit the play that the player wants. So I think that's a good point, Dan. Good point. And with that,
I don't know. I'm going to end up with 2 Goblin Blazers. Damn
it. He is, folks. He is. With that, I think we're going to hit the end of this. So from all of us here, thank you very much for spending a little bit of time with us. If you did enjoy this different format of content, do let us know. Hit the like button. That lets us know that you want to see more of these. We enjoy it. We love kind of shooting the shit about sculpts. We do it anyway. So all we had to do was hit start recording. That was great. Do let us know in the comments below, and of course, if you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button. We love it. So from everybody here, thanks so much. Take care.
Peace.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Good one.
Thank you very much for tuning in.